Hey everyone, we're diving into some really important and exciting details today as we approach the second half of winter. The month of February is on the horizon, and it's shaping up to be one of the coldest and snowiest months we've seen so far this season. Over the next couple weeks, we're expecting multiple winter storms, and we've got an incredibly active pattern to break down. So grab a warm drink and stay tuned as we dive into what to expect weather-wise in the coming weeks. First of all, if you've been feeling the chill lately, you're not imagining it. We've already had a pretty cold start to winter with that intense polar vortex that caused widespread frigid temperatures and even dropped snow and ice all the way down into the Gulf Coast. That was a big event, and it caught a lot of people by surprise, especially in the deep south. But as we head into February, it looks like the weather's going to continue keeping us on our toes, with even more storms likely heading our way. This isn't the time to let your guard down just yet because the storm train is just getting started. But before we get into details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. So let's take a look at what's coming. If you've been keeping an eye on the weather models, you know that things are about to get pretty active. We've got a couple of major systems to watch for over the next several days, and they're going to bring some significant snow ice and even colder air to parts of the U.S. The first system to keep an eye on is a clipper system. If you're not familiar with what a clipper is, it's basically a fast-moving, low-pressure system that originates in Canada. These systems are known for bringing quick bursts of snow to areas they pass over, and the one we're looking at will be tracking through the Great Lakes and the Northeast in the coming days. This clipper system will start to bring snow showers to the Midwest, places like Michigan, Wisconsin, and upstate New York, especially as we head into Monday and Tuesday next week. It's not going to be a huge snowstorm by any means, but these clipper systems can still produce several inches of snow in some places, and since they move quickly, they can cause tricky travel conditions. The snow will likely continue to move across the Great Lakes, diving into the Mid-Atlantic and eventually reaching the Northeast as the system progresses. But that's just the beginning of what we're in for. We've also got another system developing in the West, particularly in California. This one is going to be a little more complicated. It's an upper-level, low-pressure system that's going to move across the desert Southwest and into the Rockies, and it's going to pack a punch. Initially, this system will bring rain to Southern California, which is definitely a welcome sight considering the ongoing drought conditions. But as it moves eastward into the high deserts and mountainous regions of Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, it's going to transition into snow. This system is going to be particularly interesting because it's going to move very slowly. When you have a slow-moving system like this, it has a lot of time to gather moisture and cool off, and that's when it starts to pack more of a punch. You might have noticed how some systems that stall out tend to overperform, and that's exactly what could happen here. With the system moving so slowly, it will have plenty of time to bring snow to places that typically don't see a lot of it. Areas like Flagstaff, Arizona, and Santa Fe, New Mexico are going to get significant snowfall, but don't be surprised if you're in some of the lower elevations like West Texas and still see a fair amount of snow too. The system will be cold enough at its core to turn rain into snow, and as it lingers over certain regions, you could see heavy snow accumulation. As the system heads east, we'll be watching as it eventually moves across Texas and into the plains. That means places like New Mexico, Oklahoma, and even the Texas Panhandle are in for a mix of snow and rain as this system develops. And because it's going to take its sweet time moving through, the snowfall is going to have a chance to build up. We're talking about several inches of snow across the region, with some spots possibly seeing up to a foot of snow, especially if you're in higher elevations or along the system's track. Now, when this system finally moves into the central U.S., we could see some bigger impacts. The slow-moving nature of the storm means that by the time we hit Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to intensify, and the snow is going to become heavier. As this upper-level low continues to move eastward, it's going to drag colder air in behind it, which will help produce even more snow. If you're in places like Oklahoma, Kansas, and Iowa, this is when you need to be ready for a major winter storm. Not only will there be heavy snow, but you'll also get a blast of cold air that will set up a snowy, icy environment for several days. And here's where it gets even more interesting. There's a second system that's going to follow close behind the first one. This is a classic case of a storm train where one system moves out and the next one immediately follows. This second system is going to form in the desert Southwest, much like the first one. It'll bring moisture to Arizona and New Mexico, and it's expected to move across Texas just like the previous system. But here's the twist: storm will have already laid down a snowpack. This second system will be interacting with that snow, which will make the storm even colder and snowier. As this second system moves eastward, we'll see snow continuing in places like Colorado and New Mexico. And by the time it gets into Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, we could be looking at even heavier snow than the first system brought. It's a snowpack situation where the earlier storms set the stage for the next ones to be even colder. You'll see more snow accumulate in the plains and Midwest, with the snow likely sticking around longer because of the colder air that will be pouring in behind each of these systems. Looking at the bigger pictures, we flip the calendar into February. It's clear that we're in for an active snow-filled period. As these systems continue to develop and move across the country, places like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and the Midwest are going to see significant snowfall. We'll likely see a mix of rain and snow, but as the systems track east, the colder air behind them will transform those rains into snow. This means that we're looking at a series of storms that will keep our snowpacks building and keep the cold temperatures locked in. By the time we get to February 3rd and 4th, the pattern is going to start to settle in even more, with the second storm dropping snow over places like the Rockies and even farther south into Texas. Again, expect snow, particularly in the higher elevations of New Mexico and Colorado, but also look for snow to fall at lower elevations in places like West Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. This is the time when we'll really start to see multiple rounds of snow, and each storm will feed off of the cold air left behind by the previous one. As we move into February 5th and 6th, it looks like the storm train isn't letting up. Another storm will likely develop, and just like the previous ones, it's going to bring more snow, especially across the central U.S. And with each of these storms, we're going to see colder air get pushed further south, meaning that this pattern is only going to continue to get more intense as we go through the first half of February. Precipitation-wise, we can expect low-pressure systems to develop around the western Gulf or Texas, which will move northward, some even curving eastward toward the mid-Atlantic. This will create a stretch of showers and thunderstorms across the southeast, while snow is still uncertain for the north central and northeast states. We'll keep an eye on that. The northwest will also see some increased precipitation. Looking further ahead, the 8 to 14-day forecast shows things getting more dramatic. The temperature pattern is leaning towards warmer east and colder west, but it's not a complete reversal. Cold air will dominate the northwest and plains, while warmer air pushes up into the east, bringing along more storms. Warm fronts moving in will interact with cold fronts to make things more interesting. When it comes to precipitation, the storms will mostly affect the southeast and central U.S., while the northwest gets its share of storms too. The southwest won't see much action. In the past 20 days, temperatures have been well below normal across the central and eastern U.S., with departures of 10 to 15 degrees below average, which is quite a significant change. Now, let's talk about the models, starting with the European model. Tonight, snow showers will impact the northern Rockies, including Colorado, Utah, and the northern plains. Tomorrow afternoon, the snow will stretch into the Sierra Nevada and central Rockies. The upper Midwest and Great Lakes will also see snow. By Sunday, thunderstorms will form in the southeast, impacting areas like Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and the Carolinas. There's also a storm system in Southern California that will help with fire risks. By Monday, January 27th, we'll see warm air pushing east, gradually causing the cold air to retreat. It will still be chilly in the northern regions, but the warmth will spread. Tuesday's forecast shows continued warming in the Midwest and East, though some cooler air will still hang around up north. By Wednesday, January 29th, we'll see snow in parts of the Northeast, including New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Thunderstorms will likely continue in the Southeast, affecting Texas, Louisiana, and the Carolinas. Thursday, February 1st, brings a cold front to the east, but another storm in Texas could bring snow to New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle, with thunderstorms continuing in other parts of Texas. As we move toward the weekend, temperatures will keep fluctuating due to these storm systems, with warm and cold air mixing. By February 2nd, we could see more thunderstorms in the southeast and additional snow in the Rockies and plains. The first week of February could bring a major storm to the Great Lakes and upper Midwest, with heavy snow likely. Looking ahead into the second week of February, we may see a colder west and warmer east. This could lead to another cold stretch in the east, but it's still uncertain. The west will keep getting snow and storms, and the southeast could see more thunderstorms. So in the coming weeks, we're in for an active pattern with fluctuating temperatures, snowstorms, and thunderstorms. The models show snow in the west and more thunderstorms in the southeast. It's definitely going to be an exciting and unpredictable couple of weeks, so stay tuned for updates. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future updates. and drop a comment with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video.